This is one of the hardest lessons I've ever had to learn in my life. And if you are praying for something right now, you're praying for God to give you something and you're not getting it, you really need to hear this. If you are trying to hold on to something that is not meant for you, you need to let it go or you cannot receive God's blessing. And if that is not one of the hardest things I had ever had to learn, because when we want something, we want to hold on to it so bad. And if it's not good for us, Satan's going to make sure that we find all the good things we can about it so we don't let it go. And when that happens, when we hold on to that thing that's poisoning us, that we don't even realize it's doing it to us, we cannot receive God's blessing. The thing that God has for us to replace that poison thing that's hurting us so bad, God has this wonderful, more fulfilling, more rewarding, more just beautiful replacement that is our blessing, that is meant for you. And if you hold on to that poison apple, we'll call it, if you hold on to that, it corrupts you, your whole self. And I'll say, like a relationship. Oh my goodness gracious, have I ever held on to relationships that were poison to me because I thought that it was what I wanted? I thought that that's what was mine. But if you have to try to hold on to something, that's a very good indication that it's not meant for you. And you may be wondering, how do I know if it's bad for me? How do I know if I need to let it go for God to give me? How do I know? How do I know? And that used to go through my mind all the time. And I'll tell you how I discovered it. If you feel that little red flags popping all over what you think you want, and it starts to try to go away from you, that's a good indication that it is not yours. If it makes you feel bad, it is not meant for you, no matter what it is. It could be a job, it could be something physical, material that you own, that you're in debt for, and it's harming you in that way. It could be anything. And a relationship usually is the one of the big key things that people try to hold on to when it's not meant for them. But if you could just see what God has waiting and what He needs you to do is let go of the bad so He can give you the good. It may already be there. And that may be a huge way and reason we're not getting the answers to our prayers. Like if we are praying for God to heal a relationship, if we are praying for God to let us hold on to a relationship because we love them so much, let me tell you another secret. Just because you want it and you're praying for it and you want the healing done, it takes two people. And that, oh my goodness, that took me the longest. That was the hardest lesson I had to learn, is that two people have to want it. Two people need to be praying for it. And if the relationship that you are in is not another person praying and wanting the same healing that you were wanting, God's got something better for you. And, I'm not going to get into that subject. That's a touchy subject. Marriage and divorce. I'm not going to get into that. But the relationship, for this purpose, for this video, you have to let go of the bad so God can give you the good. Because if you hold on to that poison apple, any other fruit that gets around it that touches it is going to get that same bad. Does that make sense? So, this right here is from experience, so I know what I'm talking about. And sometimes you just got to let go and let God.